experience!
Everything you need to know about Week 7 going into Sunday, including fantasy football rankings, injuries, props, Underdog Pick'em, plus DFS, and everything else in between. If you got a question, dump it in the comment section. If you just want to read about this, I have my free newsletter coming out on Saturday evening with all the updated information, including ownership projections, updated injury report, and fresh rankings for everyone. Mayo Media on Substack, or just hit the description. And while you're down there, you can actually find my updated rankings too right now as well over at 4for4.com. The direct link is in the description of this video and podcast. Check it out. All completely free. Additionally, I'll be live on Sunday evening as usual. And if you haven't noticed, we are going live at 1 p.m. Eastern time for the first 90 minutes of the game on YouTube on this channel. So sub and set the reminders. Smash the like while you're here as well. And we're also doing it over at playback.tv. I'll have the link in the description of that video as well. You can stream Red Zone along with us over at playback.tv. That again is completely free to join. You just watch over there with us. If you need someone to hang out with while you're watching football, presumably by yourself, come hang out with me, Cust, and the Mayo Media friends, at least for the first 90 minutes of the game. Enough of that. Let's get into the injuries and rankings for week number 7. Chuba Hubbard is going to be in. He's off the injury report against the Jets. What's the split going to be between him and the hot fire Rico Dowdle? Who knows? But it's probably going to be Dowdle 60-65%, and then Hubbard 35-40%. I'd play Dowdle over Hubbard. I do have Hubbard ranked just outside the top 20 at running back because the Jets, pretty soft defense to run against, so maybe both of them can get there in this circumstance, but it could be the other way. It could be Hubbard is the lead. We do not know. I would still bank on Dowdle being the lead this week, and we'll play it by ear. None of them are ranked inside the top 10, put it that way, because you have that downside of us just not knowing what the opportunity is going to be. DeAndre Swift popped up with a groin injury on Thursday. He's okay. He's expected to play against the Saints. Good option, not a great option at running back, albeit in a very good matchup. Amare DiMercado is out for the Cardinals. Bam Knight is in for the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison is in for the Cardinals. And Zay Jones is questionable for the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett is expected to play quarterback this week at home against the Packers as well. You play Marv because, albeit in a bad matchup, there's just so few people left. If you don't have to play him, I wouldn't coming off the concussion, but it's a situation where he is going to be the primary number one receiver, outside of Trey McBride, and Brissett at least throwing the ball. Maybe the Packers get to him, unlike the Colts were able to do last week, but it should be some passing garbage-ish time in this game. So Marvin Harrison just outside the top 20 at receiver. Bam Knight most certainly not a must start. Neither is Michael Carter. Both of them outside the top 25 at running back for the week. Aaron Jones is out for the Vikings. Jordan Mason will make his start. Carson Wentz also starting this week at quarterback for the Vikings at home against the Eagles. J.J. McCarthy will work as the emergency third-string quarterback. Bucky Irving expected to be out for the Buccaneers. Now, this is a Monday night game, and this one's very interesting because everyone went to get the Tez dispenser and Cameron Johnson off of the waiver wire this week, but Mike Evans is expected to return in a pretty good matchup against the Lions as underdogs. They should be chucking this entire time. Rachaad White will get the start. I like his under rushing over receiving if that's the way that you want to play it. He is a fringe top 15 option at running back in half-point PPR this week, but here is the weird thing that happened on Saturday. Egbuka was on the field practicing with Mike Evans. He was almost assuredly going to be out this week. What has happened? I do not know. And I'm still expecting him not to play. However, if you're stuck and you don't have better options, you should probably go pick up one of the Johnsons. I'd take Tez over Cameron, whatever one you can get your hands on right now, because you're going to have to wait out to see, presumably, if Egbuka is going to play. Maybe they announce on Sunday he's not playing or he is playing, but it's unlikely to come out before Monday evening. And at that point, you might be all out of options on your team, all outside of moves. I would probably wait to see if I could play Egbuka. Again, it's a pretty good matchup as 6.5-point dogs or 5.5-point dogs, depending on where you look against the Lions, but it's risky. I don't think that he's going to play, but if you do have to wait for him, make a contingency plan. Chris Rodriguez against Dallas this week is questionable to play with his calf injury. He did not play on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears, but we'll see where he ends up going. It's not so much that you're going to want to play Chris Rodriguez, but getting any part of the highest total game of the week is not a terrible option, even if it is a B+, B- running back, second or third stringer coming off of an injury. I mean, listen, it depends on the league that you play in. 16-team league, yeah, you might want to wait out for Chris Rodriguez, go pick him up to see if you can play him if he's not already owned. 10, 12-team league, even a 14-team league, you're really not looking at him that much. But in a pinch, if he's available, you need someone to plug in at running back, and he does play. Sure, he has a very good elusive rate so far this season. Dallas just can't stop anyone on the ground. We go over to London. Yes, there is a London game this week. It's the Jags and the Rams. Puka is not playing in that game. Tutu Atwell will be in. Some people are talking about Jordan Whittington. Do I play him? Not if you don't have to. I have him ranked at 45 in the wide receiver rankings. Egbuka, as I mentioned, is leaning out. But again, he still might play. Just returning to practice really threw me off this week. Godwin is going to be out. And Bucky Irving, obviously, is going to be out as well. Mike Evans comes back. Calvin Ridley is out for the Titans. Don't care. Not playing any receiver. You can play A.O. Manor if you want to. It's still not a great matchup and not a great situation for anyone on. If you have to play anyone on the Titans right now, your team probably absolutely reeks. Garrett Wilson is out for the Jets. Are you going to play Josh Reynolds? Probably not. Was it Arian Smith is the next guy? Maybe Mason Taylor is a maybe this week at tight end. And Breece Hall was a start against Carolina at home. Fields, maybe, if you can get the rushing going. I have him at number 13 in the quarterback ranking. So a fringe start in a one quarterback 12-team league. I just don't trust that guy. But the upside is most definitely there. You see those top 5 finishes and those bottom 5 finishes. That is the range for Justin Fields. If you need a ton of points and you don't have a better option, maybe. I just don't see who he throws to in this game. It's going to be a whole lot of Breece Hall. Terry McLaurin is out for the Washington Commanders. It appears as if Deebo Samuel is going to be in for his heel injury, which is great news. I already talked about that game. Get as many guys from that game in as possible. Josh Downs is out for the Colts. That means I have bumped up Michael Pittman in the rankings to inside the top 20. Maybe you could take a look at an Alec Pierce longest reception or as a flyer play. DFS, deep league fantasy. I wouldn't trust the guy, but it is another one of the higher scoring games. 48.5 is the total. So points are going to come from somewhere. Taylor on the ground, Warren and Pittman, and then you get into the Ashton Doolins and Alec Pierces of the worlds on the Colts without Josh Downs around. Ricky Purcell is out for the San Francisco 49ers. That is a Sunday night football game. Juwan Jennings is going to be in. George Kittle expected to be back as well. He's been taken off of injured reserve and expected to be activated before the games with no limitation. So a must start for George Kittle just because there are so few good options at tight end so far. On the other side of the ball, it looks like Darnell Mooney is leaning in. He is not fully expected to be back yet, but Raheem Morris says they expect him to play. We'll see how that ends up going. He really hasn't been practicing. Another weird thing, Ray McLeod was sent home from the Falcons. He's not going to play, and no idea if he ever suits up again. If Mooney can't go, and obviously no Ray allowed around, Casey Washington would be the next look if you're in super deep leagues, if you need the next man up against the 49ers for the Falcons. But again, that's going to be difficult to know unless we're told very early in the morning for a Sunday night football game, which is like 50-50. You're probably just not relying on the situation at all. Darius Slayton against Denver is expected to be out. So little Jordan Humphrey in a potential revenge game against the Broncos. It's not a great situation for the Giants. I actually like the Giants in this game to cover the 8.5, 7.5, whatever you can get, because I think they can do some damage on the ground. Ditto on the other side of the ball. I think the Broncos will be able to do damage on the ground. And just the quarterback play it's going to be tough to pass against either one of these teams with the pass rush coming at them. And Denver right now is on pace to break the sack record for a season, and their pass defense has been amazing so far. It's a difficult spot. If you're going to have to drop back and pass like 40 times against the Broncos, that's not a spot where you want to be. Control the game on the ground, control the game with your defensive line, and then you stay in it and leave it to the last possession. Jacoby Myers is questionable for the Raiders. He did sneak back in with a limited practice on Friday with a knee and toe injury. He might play. You probably don't want to play Jacoby Myers or any Raider really outside of Genty at this point, even him. Brock Bowers is out again. So I guess Michael Mayer, he's a better like DraftKings play than he is like a real life start in terms of fantasy football. But if you need someone, then maybe Michael Mayer can get it done for you. I have him ranked at number 13 in the tight end rankings right now. I mentioned Zay Jones. He's questionable. We'll see whether or not he returned to practice practice on Friday. We'll see if he goes. But with Marvin Harrison back from his concussion, you're probably not going to play him anyway. Stefan Diggs is leaning in for the Patriots with a chest injury. Still love Kayshon Boutte in that game. Both those guys, Diggs and Boutte, pretty good. Tennessee, very low pressure rate. Same thing that happened last week against the Saints, that anytime that you see Drake May not facing a ton of pressure from the opposing defensive line, that Kayshon Boutte all of a sudden becomes his look down the field. Anytime that the team has a high pressure rate, you see no Boutte in that game getting a target whatsoever. Jalen Coker has been taken off the injury report. He is back for the Carolina Panthers against the New York Jets. Ditto for Jatavion Sanders. It's really just Tet McMillan. If you were streaming Tommy Tremble, don't. I don't know how this is going to look between Coker and Jatavion Sanders. Sanders was getting some good run before his high ankle sprain. That kind of translated over Tremble as well. But now we get Jalen Coker back, who is expected to be pushing Hunter Renfrow to the side. So, not going to get any Hunter Renfrow, presumably, in this game with Coker back, as long as he's running the full complement of routes. That it's Tet McMillan, maybe the running backs, and that's kind of it from the Carolina side of the ball. I have no feel for this game whatsoever. And just looking at Carolina as a betting favorite on the road, even against the Jets, against anyone, it makes you uncomfortable. Put it that way. DJ Moore is expected to be in for the Chicago Bears after being hospitalized on Monday night with his hip and or groin injury, whatever the hell that was. Ceedee Lamb, he's back. You play him. Christian Watson, not expected to be back. Do not play him. Kevontae Turpin is going to be back for the Cowboys as well. So Flournoy, get rid of him. Turpin, I'm not playing Turpin this week. He's outside the top 50 at wide receiver for me. Mike Evans, as I mentioned, going to be back. Ditto for Quentin Johnston for me. It's Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and then Keenan Allen. All three of them top 30 plays at wide receiver this week. Brandon Ayuk's estimated return for the 49ers is week number 10 off injured reserve. We'll see how that goes. But Noah Brown for the Commanders was just placed on injured reserve with that groin injury in the big weather game of the week. This one you need to watch out for. For a lesser degree, New Orleans at Chicago is not expected to have very good weather either. I'm not really sweating that one too much. The big one is going to be Miami at Cleveland. Wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour. It might be raining in that game. It seems to be pretty cold in that game. When we get to the underdog picks a little bit later on, I put it out earlier on the week on my X account that I have Tua under, Gabriel under. It's like 195.5 passing yards, 181.5 passing yards. It doesn't mean they can't get there, but I am just staying away from this game. Fannin would be a start for me with no Njoku because of his low ADOT. I bumped Waddle from like 12 all the way down to like 24 because I just don't see a lot of upside in this game for touchdowns. Achane and Judkins are starts, obviously, and maybe Waller if you need someone at tight end. I have him at tight end number 11 here. I just don't expect a lot of scoring in this game. The over-under has dropped down to, I believe now it's 37.5 at most places. That's just not great conditions, although Miami's run defense is terrible. Judkins is great. He should go off here, but he might be facing 10-man fronts because Gabriel isn't throwing the ball more than 5 yards down the field. I don't know if Tua can throw into that win. So, watch the game be like 45-40 in my face, but it's just a game I'm actively avoiding in terms of point totals and the players that I want to use in those games. Bowers out, Kittle in, Jatavion Sanders in, not starting Sanders. Obviously, I am starting George Kittle. And on the quarterback front, Lamar Jackson is expected to return with his hamstring injury after the Ravens bye week. Brock Purdy is out. Mac Jones is starting. Kyler Murray is leaning out. Jacoby Brissett is expected to start. Carson Wentz starting. And the final thing, and this one affects Monday Night Football the most in this spot because that's when Christian Kirk is playing. But all of a sudden on Saturday, he popped up on the injury report, had to leave practice with a hamstring injury. If you recall, think back like a month, Christian Kirk missed the beginning of the year with the same hamstring injury. I don't think that he's going to play on Monday Night Football. Not that you were leaning on Christian Kirk, but if you were looking for an Egbuka replacement and holding out for him, the answer is probably not Christian Kirk in this spot. Now, the Seattle run and pass defense has both been very good so far this year. I actually have a double prop in that game that's going to come out on CoolBet a little bit later on. It's CJ Stroud over rushing, Sam Darnold over rushing. Two good defenses in that game. You're going to play Nico Collins. You're going to play JSN. But outside of that, there's like not a lot of great options in that game. And now there's no Christian Kirk, which just hampers CJ Stroud even more. So keep an eye on that. Not that you were holding out for Christian Kirk, but just all of a sudden that happened on Saturday. There was the Egbuka return, and then there was the Christian Kirk absence from practice. Those are the two things that you probably need to know. Once again, I'll have the full injury cheat sheet, picks cheat sheet, rankings list, all down in, you can get the rankings list right now down in the description. at 4for4.com, but I will send out my newsletter later on Saturday evening to get you ready for all the finalized information, all in cheat sheet form. If you're looking at it, we're going to be doing props, Underdog, and DraftKings coming up right after this. You know how much time I spend researching bets and lineups and shows and getting everything ready for you? So when it's actually time to sleep, I need it to count. That's why I switched to a Helix mattress, and honestly, game changer. I have Helix mattresses all over my house. My wife and I have one. The guest room has one. My kids have one. I got a kid on the way, and eventually they're going to have one too. Even Jared over at the studio living there, I got him a Helix mattress as well, populated with Helix. You need to do it too. I used to wake up with a stiff back and night sweats. Now I just sleep through the night. No tossing around, no overheating. It's just comfortable and supportive. I took their quiz, I tailored it to myself, and boom, I got exactly what I needed from the mattress I deserve. I think you deserve a nice one too. So go to helixsleep.com/Mayo for 27% off and exclusive to Pat Mayo Experience listeners. That's helixsleep.com/Mayo for 27% off. Make sure to enter my show name after checkout so they know I sent you. helixsleep.com/Mayo. For over a century, Johnnie Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereux Go, Johnnie Walker introduces the Johnnie Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnniewalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly. Now that I'm old, I've had to come to the fact that I just don't bounce back the way that I used to. I don't wake up in the morning feeling normal. And now that football season has started, that is absolutely unacceptable. I got work to do in the morning, and I got kids that are waking up. It's no good. But that isn't a problem anymore because I found ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol the first drink of your night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel the best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Pat Mayo at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use the code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. Week 7 props, bets, and pick 'em plays from Underdog Fantasy. First, let's go over to coolbet.com. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, get in on Coolbet. PME exclusive boost under the PME exclusive boost tab on the left-hand side, the weekly boost. I got 2 of them for this week. On Sunday, I got Kayshon Boutte over 30.5 yards. I have Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown against Arizona, and Dak Prescott 4 or more rushing yards. I thought that was an incredibly low line, 3.5. So that pays 4-1 with the boost altogether. Then Monday night, I got CJ Stroud and Sam Darnold. 16 or more rushing yards for CJ Stroud and 4 or more rushing yards for Sam Darnold. Both high-pressure defenses. And obviously, I already mentioned that Christian Kirk is probably going to be out for CJ Stroud. He's averaging, outside of that stupid Tennessee game where they just absolutely took it to him, Stroud's averaging way more than this number. He's running the ball more than 4 times a game in every game outside of that one. So it's also a circumstance where the Seahawks just give up a lot of scrambles because they have a good pressure rate. That it just seems to make a ton of sense to me in that game, especially with like a lack of options. Nico and a bunch of jabronis, especially now with no Christian Kirk. So get him to take off even just one run with a lapse in defense could get him there. So that's what I like from Monday night. This is what I like from Sunday. Again, coolbet.com if you're in Canada outside of Ontario. And obviously I like these props. You can play them anywhere. We get to the Sharp Stack app in a moment. You can see some of the ones that get up there. I haven't taken a huge look at it yet, but we'll see what's up there. On Underdog this week, the first thing you can do is use code Mayo and sign up at Underdog. If you play a $5 Pick'em entry, you automatically get $100 in bonus funds, win or lose. You can play either one. I mean, this one is the same thing that I have for Sunday Night Football. or Monday Night Football, sorry. Darnold over rushing, Stroud over rushing. That pays 3-1. Yeah, 3.5-1 is what you can get that as the multiplier on Underdog right now. 100 pays 354 on that. So you can just tail that one if you want, or just go against me on any of them. And this is an 8-pick one that I paid. This one's not going to win. It's like 175-1 or something like ludicrous like that. I just put most of the ones that I like the best as a part of this 8-pick entry, and then I'm going to try to make different combinations of it, and you can kind of parse through it. But these are the leans that I have right now. Ash and Genty lower than 60.5 rushing yards. They're going to give it to him, but the Chiefs' run defense has just been excellent, especially against opposing running backs. You could also take the Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears under against New England as well. I should probably write that down because I forgot to include that, because the Patriots just don't give up rushing yards to opposing running backs, and they're huge underdogs in that spot. So lower 60.5 Genty. Rashee Rice making his return in that same game. 65.5. You expect him to hit the ground running. It's not like he's coming off injury. He's coming off suspension. And this could be the lowest number if he's the same Rashee Rice that we saw at the beginning of last year. This is the lowest number you're going to see on him all year against a bad defense. Get him back involved. Higher on 65.5. Again, code Mayo at Underdog to utilize all of these. Kamani Vidal higher than 2.5 receptions against the Colts. I think there's going to be a back-and-forth game. 48.5 is the total. He beat this number last week against the Dolphins. If you wanted to use yardage, you could do that. And that was with Vidal gashing the Dolphins on the ground. I do not expect him to have as much success against the Colts on the ground. But with Haskins on the injury report as well, he's expected to play, but just banged up with the chest injury, that just we could see a ton of Vidal in this game, and they're very comfortable passing him the ball. As I mentioned before, I got the Dak Prescott higher than 3.5 rushing yards. Just seems like a good number for a guy who takes off 1 or 2 times a game. And Washington gets to the quarterback. So if there's just a little bit of an opening, you hope it's 3rd and 5 at some point and Dak rushes for a first down, and you're off to the races. You're good to go. Stroud, as I mentioned, higher than 15.5. I have it in this one as well. Bryce Young, lower than 28.5 passing attempts. The running game is working right now, and they're playing the Jets. They're going to want to slow this game down and just make the Jets beat themselves, basically. And I just don't see a lot of points in this game unless the ground game gets going and both teams start getting gash. But the Carolina run defense has been pretty good. The Jets run defense pretty bad. And the Carolina rushing offense has been very good. So just expect a lot of running in this game. Also, Jackson Dart lower than 37.5 rushing yards. The Broncos have been very good against scrambling quarterback so far this season. Just the Broncos defense has been awesome so far this season. And Kayshon Boutte, as I mentioned earlier, 31.5 receiving yards. I put the 30% profit boost on this on a $35 entry. Let's see, $35 pays 5,100 on a almost 150-1 multiplier. Again, this isn't the one I'm giving out, but some combination of obviously the ones that I played at CoolBet, I can make those into one as well. And you can go the Tua and Dylan Gabriel under passing yards as well. I played that one earlier in the week at 3.5-1, although that number has dropped already. But if you just wanted to do Genty under, Rashee Rice over, and Dak Prescott over rushing yards, those three are going to pay 6.5-1. And those are probably 3 of my favorites this week when I just really stand back and look at it. If we go to the SharpStack app, which I need to log into right now, so I don't want you to see my password, so I'm not going to jump over to that. I will start sharing this tab. You log in, 4for4.com/Mayo, and you can use code Mayo50. Get a free week of this, which also includes all the DFS, all the betting, the Discord, projections, all fantasy football, and the main app that we're looking for. Hey, listen, the app likes Jackson Dart under rushing yards, just like me, 38.5. The highest prop right now, Woody Marks receptions under 2.5. Objectively, I do not like that prop. And it's minus 125. I would stay away from that one on Monday night. Well, that's at Hard Rock right now. See what the number is elsewhere. You can just click on this plus button. It's minus 145. Almost everyone. Minus 162. They really do not like Woody Marks receptions this week. In my mind, as I just kind of pointed out, why I like the over in rushing yards for CJ Stroud is the same reason that I would like the over in receptions for Woody Marks. It wouldn't be a play for me. I just don't know if I'd listen. The computer loves actively going against its under. So there we are. Dak Prescott rushing yards, I'm on that one, the over 3.5. That's in a bunch of places right now if you just wanted to play that independently. And that's what you should be doing, by the way. Is playing these props. You play 10 props, you hope to go 7-3, 6-4 for the week individually. Once you start parlaying them together, or even doing the pick'em entries, it's fun to get that huge payout. And I love doing it it's not like I'm going to tell you I'm not doing that, because I am doing that. However, you're just going to tread water and come up a little bit ahead if you're, or a little bit down or a little bit up if you're just playing a bulk of good EV props every single week. That's what this tool is really good for. Like, you're just not going to win that many parlays. It's just when you hit them, you really want to win big on them to pay for the weeks where you're just in the hole. If you just play these ones independently, by themselves, and eat the -110, -115, +124, things like that, you're going to be looking really, really good throughout the course of the season. That's if you're going to have like a unit size of $10. You want to put $100 per week, 10 props. This is the kind of tool that you're going to want. This Jaden Higgins prop keeps getting better in real time, as you can see on the screen. The over 20.5, again, he's probably the next man up with Christian Kirk out. The over right now is at 20.5, -110. That's at Fanatics. We can see the other numbers is still 20.5, 21.5. Like the over 21.5 at the sharpest book, which is Pinnacle, is -152 right now. So if you can get Fanatics or even bet ESPN at -120, those are looking like pretty good numbers right now. It's already gone up at DraftKings to over 27.5, and that's at -114. So this is where this tool really comes in. And as you see, it was working in real time as we were going through these numbers of where the best number is going to be, and it jumped to the highest EV spot on the board. Just with that news with Christian Kirk. Again, as I'm recording this, he has not been officially ruled out, but it looks like he's not playing. This is where everyone is going in this spot to Jaden Higgins on Monday Night Football against Seattle. It has become the highest EV play on the board at almost 10%, which is pretty big number, 9.6%, and that EV age is 0 minutes at this moment. That Dak Prescott rushing yard has been up for ages now. And this is going to update in real time when tackle props get released. Once the whole board gets out there and the injury report gets finalized, you can check back on Sunday morning at 4for4.com/Mayo. Use Mayo 50, get the free week, jump in and figure it out. It's a fun one to do because you get so many different sets of games this week. If you do jump in, you get the London game you can jump in on, the early set, late set, Sunday Night Football, and 2 Monday Night Football games, just different types of slates that you can go to by using these tools. And it has all the projections if you just want to use that anyway. The ARB tools most definitely in effect. If you just wanted to go in and guarantee some profit this week, you could bet Bijan Robinson on Sunday Night Football over 4.5 receptions at DraftKings at +121. Bet the same side under 4.5 receptions at even money on ProfitX. That's actually a pretty big one. That's a 5% ROI. If you bet $1,000, you could lock yourself in $50 of pure profit without any risk. You can lock yourself in $5 of pure profit on a $100 bet with each of them. There's a bunch of these down the board this week. There's even some for college that are going. Sometimes you can find like a really, really big one, but some guys just nickel and dime it this way. And this app will show you exactly how you can bet both sides of the same prop to guarantee yourself some money this week. Let's move over to DraftKings. As you can see at the top, this all comes with the 4for4 package using Mayo 50. We go to the lineup optimizer. The ownership projections will be updated again for Sunday morning and then again after what we're seeing for the actives and inactives for week number 7. So just check back for that. Running back ownership percentage this week: Breece Hall, Judkins, Javonte Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. I used a ton of... I've been trying to lean back a little bit like Fat Joe on Breece Hall. It's just that number, 30% ownership. I think that's what I'm saying. Check back either on Saturday night, all of the updated numbers on Saturday night in my newsletter. But again, on Sunday morning, that doesn't feel right to me. I just feel like a lot of people are going to use Judkins over Hall for a cheaper price. Maybe the weather's scaring them off in that game, but it's Vidal, who I actually thought was a really good play, and his numbers not coming in all that highly right now. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, if Chris Rodriguez sits out again, is a very nice play as well. But if you can find your way up to Jonathan Taylor, they're saying 20%, maybe. He's difficult to jam in because everyone wants to go to that Dallas and Washington game and grab the different pieces there. They're just expensive pieces. If you use Ceedee Lamb and George Pickens, you can't afford Jonathan Taylor in most circumstances. So if we just take a look at, those are the highest owned guys, we look at the best values on the board. It's probably Achane. Yeah, Achane, Judkins, Hall, Krosky Merritt, DeAndre Swift, who is going to play against the Saints at pretty low ownership as well. Scadaboo at 3% presents a really nice value. I like Scadaboo just because I think that's the path to the Giants winning that game, is a ton of Scadaboo and the Giants defense. You can pair them up. They're only $2,200 because you're betting on one. You can bet on both to do the scoring for them in that game because it's going to be hard to beat them through the passing game. That's a spot that I really like. The Scadaboo, Giants, back-to-back defense. We talked about this a lot with John and Tambo on the DraftKings show on Friday. At wide receiver, at ownership, we're looking at Lamb, Rice, Olave, Jefferson, and Deebo Samuel, who is questionable with that heel injury. It does seem like he's going to play, and it's a great spot against Dallas, who I believe has given up at least 40 points in both their home games so far this season. Now they've tied and won. Can they score a ton of points? That's why everyone's stacking this one up. A lot of A.J. Brown, Dunze, George Pickens, Michael Pittman. I think Pittman should be higher for $5,100, especially with Josh Downs out. And that's just an understacked game right now. You can see no one really knows where they want to go. They know they want Jonathan Taylor. They know they want Tyler Warren. But you saw Vidal come in under him. The highest projected one right now for the Chargers side is McConkey at 11%. Pittman's the highest receiver at 11%. We built out that 4-2 stack. It was Pittman, Taylor, McConkey, Vidal, Herbert, and I think it was Gadsden at tight end, which is not a great play, but he just saves a ton of money for you if you want to jam all those guys into a lineup. That is the understacked game of the week if you're looking for it. That and the Patriots. Where's Butte, the Butte man coming in? Yeah, he's nowhere near the top of ownership. He's cheap. He's like $4,600. Obviously, I like him. I loved him last week. I'm going back to the well on him. The best overall values right now, Rashee Rice, Deebo Samuel, Olave, and Odunze, hence why they're popping up near the top of the ownership. Matthew Golden getting a pretty good look, who was running some extra routes. The Cardinals can be taken advantage of deep. I actually like Jordan Addison as well at $5,100. The computer is on the same page with me there. But $5,100, like you could get away if you really wanted to upgrade at running back this week. Addison, Rice, Pittman are all in the $5,000 range. We're missing a lot of studs at the top of the salary for this slate in general. Like, Jefferson, Lamb, Pickens, Odunze are the four highest owned. Like, there's only 3 receivers over $7,300, and 2 of them are on Dallas. That if you just go down a little bit, there's just some good values in the $5,000 range, which allows you to pay up, knowing that besides Vidal, there's not a ton of value in the $5,000 area at running back. So there's many different combinations you can make. I think in the 2 high stakes tournaments that I played this week, I'm not finalized on it yet. I used a Dak team, and I used a Dak triple stack with Pickens and Lamb to try to do it that way. And then I played a Drake May team with Butte and no run back, and then just filled out the rest of my team with different spots that I liked. I think I had Vidal and Taylor going against each other in that game. I had Jacobs and maybe Marvin Harrison going against each other, just because I know that no one's going to use Marvin Harrison, and it just could be a ton of catch-up ball in that game. Tight ends, it's the same guys that people use every week at tight end: McBride, Warren, Ertz. Fannin is getting some extra love. I think that Michael Mayer will end up above 10% as well, just because everyone wants to play Rashee Rice. If you play Rice and Mayer together as a back and forth combo, you're just getting a lot of savings there, and you can jam in whoever else you want. Fannin's projecting to be the best value on the board right now with David Njoku out, and he's only $3,900. Bad weather in that game, it makes a ton of sense. No Njoku leads to more target share, and he runs a low A-dot anyway. If he just holds onto the ball, he's going to be fine. Fannin, Mayer, Goddard, Mason Taylor, Ertz, the 5 best value per dollar on the board right now. Then you have Warren, Kraft, and Henry coming in at that. You could play Henry as a part of that Drake May stack if you want to. I just didn't want to over-invest in that game. I just like May independently. I like Booty independently, so I put them together, and they're not super expensive. Allowed me to do a ton with the rest of my lineup. Projected ownership right now for defense: Broncos, Dolphins, Raiders, Patriots, Saints. I like the Giants at $2,200 if you're trying to save money. Here's the problem with the Dolphins and Broncos because of the bad weather in this game. If the game doesn't get out of hand one way or another, you're not going to see a lot of or a lot of passing attempts in that game. You do not want fantasy defenses playing against teams that are running the ball 45 times in a game, 50 times in a game. It's a slower game. You get fewer opportunities for sacks, picks, pressures, which is where fantasy defenses do the majority of their scoring. So I'm probably going to, unless I'm playing Judkins in lineups with the Browns, I'm actively avoiding both of those defenses because I'm not here to play for a shutout. Like, that's a terrible way to play for fantasy defenses. You want teams giving up like 17 points and passing the ball 50 times. That's where the opportunity comes in. Like, the Patriots defense makes way more sense. I get why the Broncos are up there. The Broncos are objectively a good play. The Chiefs are a fantastic play at 6. If you wanted to fade everyone else, like I didn't even mention the quarterbacks. Mahomes might be the highest owned guy. Jaden Daniels, then Mahomes, then Herbert, then Dak, then Caleb Williams. But if everyone's going to be using Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, Worthy, they're all going to be on the board. You don't know who to bring it back with. you could just fade all those guys and play the Chiefs defense and hope it works out that way. That those guys don't get there. The Chiefs defense does the scoring, which is not crazy to think of against the Raiders, who can't block whatsoever and are 12.5-point underdogs. They're going to have to throw in this game. And Geno picks, I mean, it's in his name. He loves throwing picks. Return 2 of those. Then Mahomes doesn't see the field. Rice doesn't get there. Kelsey doesn't get there. Mahomes doesn't get there. And you're using a lower owned defense, albeit the most expensive defense, but they're only $3,700 if that's the route that you wanted to go. Other than that, let's see who the best values are on the board. It's probably the Saints, the Panthers, Patriots, Chiefs, Browns, and Vikings. And honestly, the Panthers, Patriots, Chiefs, and Browns are the only ones rated with a high GPP value. I like the Broncos a lot, just going against, obviously, the Giants. I'm not alone in that, but I like the Giants as well, going the other way against Bo Nix. Listen, they're back at home. It's a good situation. Their offensive line is good. They just look bad against the Jets defense, albeit in London. They're coming back from overseas. They're not taking a bye week, and we know the Giants defense can get pressure. You pressure Bo Nix enough and kind of breaks, and it just takes one to go back the other way, and all of a sudden your $2,200 defense has broke the slate for you, and no one else wanted to be on that spot. In fact, they're on the other side of that game. Hopefully, again, you just keep the ball on the ground. That's why pairing them with Scadaboo is a pretty good option and a good savings option if that's what you're looking for. The watch along, free on Mayo Media Network on Sunday, then Sunday Night Live. Then we're back on Monday morning with golf and football. The Mayo Media newsletter coming out on Saturday evening with all this updated information. Finally, we have the rankings. They're all updated right now on 4for4.com. You can find them there, or just hit the description. They'll be in the newsletter as well. The link to get them all is there immediately for you to consume at the moment. Okay, smash a like on the way out. Sub to Mayo Media Network. Turn on those notifications, and I will see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!